Walters is the place to be before and after games at Nationals Park. Be sure to check out their self-poured beer wall that includes options such as the Vienna Lager.
I'm excited to tell you about the designs Homage has cooked up for the 2025 MLB season. If you're as baseball obsessed as I am, you'll love the full roster of major league looks from Homage. Amazing comfort and deep cut designs that help fans show off passion for their favorite teams. Homage has a massive selection that tells the story of the greatest sport from its very beginnings. Deep logo history, coast-to-coast stadium tours, and the biggest players from every era. Legends never die at Homage. If you need your new shirt for going to a ball game, Homage has you covered with its most comfortable fan clothing, and it's available for fans of all ages. This year's collection hits dinger after dinger after tater. Fleece, tees, bottoms, and more. And don't forget to check out the new starter jacket lineup, an iconic dugout look you don't want to miss. Heroes get remembered, but legends never die, and these looks go long, period. Check out the Homage MLB collection to find your team's coolest gear.
Here is the set now. And the pitch swung on. Ground ball through the hole. Base hit right field. That will score Torrens. Acuna with his second RBI of the year. And the Mets lead by the score of 5-0.
Here's the set. Buteau deals. Swinging a fly ball, right center field, well hit. Taylor going back to the track, to the wall. It's gone! This is now a one-run game. 3-run homer for Riley Adams makes it 7-6. His first of the year, his first 3 RBIs of the year. It's a 5-run inning, and they trail it now just 7-6. Big blast for Riley Adams.
Last time up with Tapper in front of the plate. Grounds one right side. Big hop. Alonso's deep. Foot race for it. Static covering. High throw. Gets away. Here comes Abrams to score. And they've done it again. A Curly W's in the box. With static covering. Alonso threw it over his head and into foul ground. And for the second time in 3 days, CJ Abrams scores the winning run. And the Nationals on the field to celebrate. Listen to this crowd at Nationals Park. A Curly W's in the books. The final score, the Washington Nationals 8, the New York Mets 7. Unbelievable!
And welcome to Nats Chat along with MASNsports.com Nationals insider Mark Zuckerman, who is at Nationals Park. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. The Nationals in MLB's 2025 regular season are tied for first in the majors in one-run wins with 7, 2 of which have come over the last 3 games and what has become quite the series against the Major League leading New York Mets at Nationals Park. Friday evening, a 5-4 walk-off win over the Mets to end the Mets' 7-game winning streak. The Nats in that game blew a 3-0 8th-inning lead, but then overcame a 4-3 9th-inning deficit by scoring 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th. Saturday, we did have the 2-0 loss to the Mets, but Sunday afternoon, an 8-7 walk-off win over the Mets in some game, a game in which the Nats overcame a 7-1 7th-inning deficit. The Nats won on a one-out throwing error by Mets first baseman Pete Alonso on a grounder by Luis Garcia Jr., allowing CJ Abrams to score from second base. The Nats scored 5 runs in the bottom of the 7th and 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th. The Nats in the regular season now 13-15. The Mets now an MLB best 19-9. We have a lot to get to with what went down at Nationals Park on Sunday afternoon. Perhaps the win of the season so far for the Nats. This installment of Nats Chat brought to us by Mason Kalfas, the top legal recruiter in Washington, D.C. Mason has been with us since our first season. You can reach him at 202-486-3533. 3-5. There was so much to the Nats win on Sunday afternoon. We had the offense coming through. We had the bullpen coming through. We had the Nats winning despite their best pitcher so far this season, Mitchell Parker, allowing 7 runs, 6 earned in 5 innings. We in the game had each team with a 5-run inning. The Nats in this game allowed 5 runs in the top of the first, but scored 5 runs in the bottom of the 7th. And this was the game that the man who runs his podcast, Tim Shovers, selected to bring his 10-month-old daughter to for her first major league game. Our guy Tim, Papa Tim, great call by him to introduce his daughter, Mark, to the world of Major League Baseball.
Well, I think, Al, when Tim and Kira Shovers someday, when she gets to be old enough, tell Layla about the first game she ever went to, they're going to have quite the dramatic story to tell her. Hopefully they'll leave out the part where the Nats were trailing 7-1 when they left the park, because, of course, she couldn't make it all the way through it. But you know what? Not important. I think the good vibes were already there. I went down and saw them in the stands. Layla was having a great time under the circumstances. And, I mean, what a comeback. You thought Friday night's win was good. This one tops that one in my mind, because this is one of those games that you think is over from the start. Before the Nats even come up to bat, you're thinking, okay, this is just going to be one of those days, no chance, not going to happen. And yet you look at how they hung in there, kept it close, and got to a point where they had a chance to come back at the end, and they pulled it off. And I'll be honest here, I believed they were going to come back and win that game. Once they got it to, 7-6 going into the final couple innings, I actually thought to myself, they're going to win this game. That's a very different feeling than I've had the last several years. We joke about how they have this mantra of the boys are going to battle and they're always going to bring the tying run to the plate and that kind of stuff. And then inevitably they would lose. And I do feel like the tide is turning there. And they're now at a point where you expect them to pull it off at the end, even against a good opponent like this. I think the confidence is growing inside that clubhouse. I think they believe that they can win these games. And it's just nice to see them finally getting over that hump and proving to themselves and to everybody else out there that they are good enough to win these kind of games.
Well, this is the best Nats offense in multiple seasons. Yes, there are nits to pick. Yes, it's not always perfect, but this Nats offense is hitting for power. And when you have an offense that hits for power, you pretty much always have a chance. I mean, the Nats in this game, 9 hits, 5 of the 9 hits, extra base hits, 2 home runs, 3 doubles. This is a big boy offense. We have been begging for this for years, and the Nats finally have a big boy offense once again. I also would say this, and we'll see what happens on Monday afternoon, but A, the Nats can win this series, take 3 out of 4 against, again, the Major League leading Mets, and B, so far, the Nats have been the better team. The Mets have not been impressive. I think the Nats have been far more impressive. Even the Mets win in this series, that was a 2-0 win in which the Mets were far from dominant. You know, to whatever degree you can read into head-to-head matchups this early in a season, I think the Nats are acquitting themselves quite well in this series so far against the mighty Mets.
Well, let's remember a year ago in these head-to-head matchups, the Nats went 2-11 against the New York Mets, and already they're 2-1 against them this season. So that tells you right there that they have certainly closed the gap to some extent. And it's not just this game. Think about the teams that they've played well against so far this year. The Mets, the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks, the Orioles, who I know are struggling, but you still think of as a contending team. They are rising to the occasion against good opponents. Their problems have actually come against the so-called lesser opponents, the Marlins, the Pirates, that kind of stuff. So I'm really impressed with the way they, regardless of the 1-loss record, the way that they look like they belong on the same field with a lot of teams that we think are good teams. And yeah, they still have a losing record and there's still a long way to go and a lot of things for them to clean up to get to a point that they are legitimately on par with these contending teams. But the gap is closed significantly. And I think if nothing else, you have to be encouraged by the fact that they look like they belong in a way that very often the last few years they did not.
And while the Nats did get shut out on Saturday, we can't forget that, the Nats in this series are more than holding their own against the Mets pitching staff that came into this series number 1 in the majors this regular season in team ERA. The Nats on Sunday afternoon, really good offensively for a second time in 3 games in this series. I mentioned 9 hits, 5 of which were extra base hits. The Nats 8 runs, 3 walks, 4 for 10 with runners in scoring position. You know, only one Nats player had more than one hit, so you really got contributions up and down the lineup. CJ Abrams had a key hit in this game. He is the Nats starting shortstop and number one batter, 1 for 5, but a game-tying RBI single. He and the Nats 2-run ninth had a game-tying 1-out RBI single into right field on a 1-2 pitch to tie the game at 7. I mentioned the Nats homering twice, those homers coming from Dylan Crews and Riley Adams. Dylan Crews continues to heat up. He is the Nats starting center fielder and number 6 batter, 1 for 3 with a solo homer and a hit by pitch. Did commit a throwing error in the Mets' 5-run first, but Crews in a Nats 1-run second, a 2-out solo homer to left field to cut the Nats deficit to 6-1. Riley Adams, he is the Nats starting catcher and number 9 batter, went 1 for 3 with a 3-run homer. He and the Nats 5-run 7th had a 2-out opposite field, 3-run homer to right center field to cut the Nats deficit to 7-6. And how about that? Riley Adams gets the rare start, does not get pinch hit for in that big spot. And Davey Martinez, who in this game pushed a lot of the right buttons, rewarded for showing some faith in Riley Adams. Big home run by him.
Yeah, as you said, this is only his 4th start in 28 games. Keibert Ruiz was behind the plate for 24 of the team's first 27 games, most starts by any catcher in the major leagues. And I coincidentally talked to Riley Adams before the game just to get his thoughts about what this has been like for him. And, you know, he reiterated, number 1, he's not complaining about the lack of playing time. Number 2, that his focus, as the team has told him, has really been on defense, on catching. Even on the days when he's not playing, he's working on his defensive skills. He's in all the meetings with Ruiz and the starting pitcher and the coaching staff as they formulate their game plan for that day. He really is focused on that part of it. And the feeling is that any offense is kind of a bonus. Now, he wants to contribute as well. And his first 2 at-bats did not look so good with a couple of strikeouts. But Davey stuck with him in the 7th. He said that the logic was, number 1, believing that Adams might get a slider, that he could do some damage with a hanging slider in that inning, but also knowing that his spot would probably come up again in the 9th, and he wanted Ruiz for that spot. And that's exactly how it worked out. So for Adams, he gets into a 3-1 count. And you got CJ Abrams on deck, and I'm kind of thinking to myself, this might be a take situation no matter what. Your job is just to get on, extend the inning, and get the big guy behind you, CJ Abrams, to the plate. Well, what happens? He gets a fastball right over the plate, and he can't do anything but swing at that and just put a really good, solid swing, driving it to right center field. You have to feel good for this guy. He's done very little this year. He's played very little this year, and he comes through for them when he finally gets the opportunity, with as big of a hit as they've had from anybody so far in the first month of this season.
And I mentioned Dylan Crews. The overall numbers still are not very good, but Crews for this month of April, which soon will be done, .474 slugging percentage. He's hitting some home runs, and lately it feels like in every game he's doing something. He's providing something. Remember, it was just a few weeks ago that the notion of should the Nats send Crews to AAA Rochester, ? That notion had started to creep into our heads. Shame on us for even entertaining that notion, because Crews really has gotten going.
Well, maybe you had that notion. I never had that notion. I don't think there's any clip of me suggesting that would happen, right? Look, he has really shown here a few things. Number 1, the ability to brush off bad things happening and to get himself right again. And you're seeing the progress there from him at the plate. He hit that home run into the wind. It was a strong wind coming from left field today, and he got everything he could put into it. On a normal day, that ball might be 15 rows deep, and instead it just gets over the fence. So that was impressive in itself. And as we've talked about also, it's not just the production offensively, it's the way he's playing the game. Great defense, great base running, hustling everywhere he goes, playing with a lot of enthusiasm. I think it does rub off on some other guys on this team to see that from him, especially when he wasn't going so well. So good on him for producing for them, and good on him for, I think, really having a mature mindset and approach to everything, even as his season got off to such a rough start. I don't know how many rookies would be able to handle it the way that he has and come out of it really in a better place.
And speaking of productive outfielders for the Nats, Alex Call, another productive game for him. I mentioned that only one Nats player had more than one hit in this game. That player was Alex Call. He is the Nats starting right fielder and number 8 batter, 2 for 3 with a double an RBI single, and a walk. Nobody had like a truly big game, but it felt like everyone contributed in some way. And the Nats again get to the Mets bullpen, which has not been impressive in this series, and again get to the Nats pitching staff for a second time in 3 games in this series. Hey, are you a law firm partner or associate looking to transition to a new firm because of compensation, or your firm recently committed to $100 million in pro bono work that you disagree with? Or maybe your firm is employing people like Jerickson Profar while your competitor firms are using torpedo bats and smoking the competition. If this sounds like you should explore the lateral market and give Mason Kalfas a call. Mason is the top legal recruiter in the Washington, D.C. area. He has been a Nats Chat podcast advertiser since the beginning of our show. Mason will work with you to create a marketing and business plan to pitch to new firms and dramatically increase your compensation and or day-to-day happiness in your new job. Mason has placed partners and associates in just about every large law firm in D.C. and New York, and he can provide plenty of testimonials from candidates he has placed on the outstanding service that they received. You need a strong advocate in your corner to find the best law firm out there for your future career. Call Mason Kalfas today, 202-486-3535.
LinkedIn Jobs are here to help small businesses make those crucial hires. Now, if you're in a big business, like let's say you're a general manager of a baseball team and you want to improve the bullpen, you could go to baseballreference.com and look up Adam Ottavino and Drew Smiley. But if you're a small business, you probably need LinkedIn Jobs. Here's how it works. Post your job on their new feature that can help you write job descriptions and then quickly get your job in front of the right people with deep candidate insights. Get qualified candidates. At the end of the day, the most important thing to your small business is the quality of candidates. And with LinkedIn, you can feel confident that you're getting the best. And finally, Nats Chat is here to help. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/natschat. That's LinkedIn.com/natschat to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
I'm excited to tell you about the designs Homage has cooked up for the 2025 MLB season. If you're as baseball obsessed as I am, you'll love the full roster of major league looks from Homage. Amazing comfort and deep cut designs that help fans show off passion for their favorite teams. Homage has a massive selection that tells the story of the greatest sport from its very beginnings. Deep logo history, coast-to-coast stadium tours, and the biggest players from every era. Legends never die at Homage. If you need your new shirt for going to a ball game, Homage has you covered with its most comfortable fan clothing, and it's available for fans of all ages. This year's collection hits dinger after dinger after tater after tater. Fleece, tees, bottoms, and more. And don't forget to check out the new starter jacket lineup, an iconic dugout look you don't want to miss. Heroes get remembered, but legends never die, and these looks go long, period. Check out the Homage MLB collection to find your team's coolest gear.
A one from McGill is popped in the air to right center field, not deep. Soto lost it in the sun. Now he's trying to find it, and he does it, and the ball drops. Garcia's going for second. Soto's throw is not in time. Well, the Sun Monster scores one on Juan Soto there. That's a pop fly double for Garcia. As Soto, you could tell he didn't have it, then looked like he may have had it, but he really didn't have it. And that landed several feet away from him.
Now, also key for the Nats in this 8-7 walk-off win over the Mets on Sunday afternoon, the Nats bullpen. This is such a pleasant development over these last few days, the bullpen being really good in each of 2 consecutive games. Perhaps, finally, mercifully, the bullpen is getting on track. 4 Nats relievers on Sunday afternoon combined for 4 scoreless innings with 4 strikeouts. Now, Lucas Sims faced 6 batters, but got just 3 outs. He generated 2 swinging strikeouts, but he also issued 2 more hit-by pitches, continuing his bonkers rate of issuing hit-by pitches. Lucas Sims now, in this regular season, has issued 6 hit-by pitches over 9 2/3 innings. That is something, man. 6 hit-by pitches over 9 2/3 innings. But Colin Poche, he in the top of the 7th, faced 2 batters and got 3 outs. Jackson Rutledge, he was good again, 1 2/3 scoreless innings, although he himself issued a hit by pitch. And Jorge Lopez got really one of the bigger outs any Nats reliever has gotten so far this season. He only faced 1 batter, but he got the out, and it was a big one. He came into the game in the top of the 9th with runners on 2nd and 3rd, 2 outs, and the Nats down 7-6, and he induced a ground out by Brandon Nimmo for the 3rd out. Davey Martinez did not go to Kyle Finnegan at any point in this game, and it all worked out. Again, 4 Nats relievers, 4 scoreless innings, 4 strikeouts.
All right, I will admit here that I was wrong about something as this game played out. So as they have a chance to rally in the bottom of the 8th, they loaded the bases and so had a golden opportunity to tie the game or take the lead right there. He's got Finnegan warming in the bullpen because that's what you do. You want your closer for the 9th if you either tie it or you take the lead. And when they don't, they strand the bases loaded, so they're still trailing by a run. He ends up sitting Finnegan and just puts Jackson Rutledge back out there. And I thought, and I tweeted this too in the moment, that even down a run, I felt like it was worth it in this particular situation to go with Finnegan, especially against the heart of the Mets lineup. It's Soto, Alonso, and Vientos there to lead off the 9th. Well, what happens? Rutledge comes back out after a quick 1-2-3/8. He did struggle there, lead off single, then another hit by pitch because there weren't enough of them in this game. But then he gets 2 huge ground balls with the infield drawn in. How often do you see this work? Twice. Infield drawn in, sharp grounder to short. CJ Abrams able to hold the runner at 3rd and get the out at 1st. You couldn't draw that up any better. And then he goes, as you said, to Lopez. And that's a huge spot for a guy who, as we know, has struggled facing his former team, facing a tough batter in Nimmo. And he comes through and gets the ground ball to get out of that one. So it's not just they won this game. It's not just that they came back, pick all the different aspects of it. They did all this without even using Kyle Finnegan. They won a 1-run game without using their closer. That does not happen for this team very often at all.
No, it does not. But, it's always so interesting when you see a team in MLB mount a big come-from-behind win. It's never just the offense. It's almost always the offense and the bullpen, right? The bullpen holds down the opposition, doesn't allow it to score any more runs, and the bullpen played a big role. I mean, the Nats were down 7-1 in the 7th inning. No doubt, the offense led the way in terms of the comeback, but the bullpen played a sizable role in the Nats doing what they did. And the great irony of this Nats win is that it came despite the Nats' best pitcher this season, Mitchell Parker, having a really bad outing. It's funny. We, on the last installment of the podcast, talked about what, right? Mitchell Parker being number 1 in the majors in wins above replacement for Baseball Reference for pitchers for this regular season at 1.6. But I guess as the old song goes, right? War, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Wasn't good for anything on Sunday afternoon with Mitchell Parker. 7 runs, 6 earned in 5 innings. He gave up 7 hits, which were 2 doubles and 5 singles. He issued 5 walks. He recorded no strikeouts. Remember, Mitchell Parker in the minors had an issue with walks. In the majors, he really hasn't had that issue. And then, all of a sudden, he went back in time, especially in the 1st inning. Parker in the 1st inning had a nightmare start to this game. He allowed 5 runs, 4 earned in the top of the 1st. The 5 runs, 4 earned coming on 3 singles, 4 walks, and 2 RBI sac flies. Also in the inning was that throwing error by center fielder Dylan Cruz. But what'd you make of that shockingly bad start to the game for Mitchell Parker? He did eat up 5 innings, but man, that 1st inning was rough.
We have not seen anything like that from him since he got to the big leagues. He's had some not so great starts, but I feel like they've all come maybe later on, or it's been spread out over multiple innings. Nothing like this. And you could see him fighting his mechanics or something early on. Everything is up in the zone or even up and in on the right-handed hitters. It was the same spot that he kept missing. I mean, for him to walk 4 batters in the 1st inning alone was pretty crazy. And they had Jackson Rutledge up in the bullpen before that inning is over because, as you said, 43 pitches, that's about at the point of no return where you can't let him go much more than that. I don't care who you are. You're going to have to come out of the game. So really ugly stuff there. But here's where I'm so impressed. He gets through it. Davey leaves him in the game and it's like, hey, go give us as much as you can. Would you have thought at that moment that he was going to get you through the 5th? They gave up 2 more runs, yes, but he got him through 5 innings and 96 pitches, saved the bullpen, And you heard guys in the clubhouse talking him up as much as anybody else. Yes, the bullpen was great, but Mitchell Parker made it all possible by getting through 5 innings and not leaving the bullpen to throw 7 or 8 innings in this game. And in a weird way, this kind of felt like a Patrick Corbin start. Because how many times did we see Corbin look awful in the first inning, but they'd leave him out there and he'd give him his 5 or 6 innings no matter what. The difference is this time, the rest of the guys came back to win it, and we're crediting Mitchell Parker for getting through as much as he did. That's a gutsy performance. I know the line's not going to look good. I know you're not going to find a lot of positives out of that. It actually was a positive for him to brush off that first inning and make it all the way through the 5th.
So there is no formal definition of blow-up start, but I think one of the components of a blow-up start is that you only last for, say, an inning or 2. So this was not a blow-up start, even though it looked like a blow-up start. 7 runs, 6 earned in 5 innings is a bad start. This certainly cannot become a habit for one Mitchell Parker, but that he ate up the 5 innings is a credit to him. And yeah, Davey Martinez, in his post-game press conference with you guys, early in the presser made it a point to credit Mitchell Parker, to the point of what you were just saying. Like, it was almost like Davey credited Parker before he credited anyone else or anything else from this game.
Him going out there and giving us 5 innings like that was awesome.
Hey, it's Al Galdi for Window Nation, which has a gift for Nats Chat podcast listeners that's as good as any James Wood home run. 4 free windows for every 4 windows that you buy, and you pay nothing until 2027. This offer is good through April 30th, so hurry. Schedule your free estimate at 866-90Nation or windownation.com, and tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast. There's no limit to how much you can save, and if you buy a house full of windows, Window Nation will include a free entry door. Window Nation partners with the top window manufacturers in the nation to build windows to their high-quality specs. Then Window Nation passes the savings on to you. You'll protect your home with some of the best windows that you can buy at a fraction of the price of other brands, and you'll increase the value of your home. 4 free windows for every 4 windows that you buy, and you pay nothing until 2027. The offer is good through April 30th. Call 866-90Nation or visit windownation.com and tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast.
And now, 2 pigeons who can't believe how good humans have it with DirecTV.
These humans are hopping from streaming apps to live sports without batting a wing.
All from the DirecTV home screen.
With just 1 click, you could be watching a baseball game, a movie on Netflix,
or a critically acclaimed documentary.
You watch documentaries?
I love the ones that leave you with a question.
What?
Exactly.
DirecTV, a better way to watch whatever you want to watch. Visit DirecTV.com. Internet-connected Gemini device, separate Netflix membership, and additional paid subscriptions required for third-party apps. Restrictions apply.
Now's the time for a great deal on a new Honda. It's time to take an adventure with rugged capability and commanding style. Check out the Honda Ridgeline, Pilot, or CR-V. For a limited time, well-qualified buyers can get a 3.99% APR on a 2025 Pilot, 1.99% APR on a 2025 Ridgeline, or a 2.99% APR on a 2025 CR-V.
See dealer for financing details.
And now the pitch. Cruz swings, hits one high in the air, deep left field. Nimmo back to the warning track at the wall. He leaps and he can't get it. It is gone. Goodbye. A towering fly ball that carries out to straightaway left. Wind blowing in or not. Bang! Zoom goes Dylan Cruz with his 4th home run of the year. And the Nationals are on the board here at the bottom of the 2nd inning. It's now the Mets 6, and the Nationals 1.
In so many ways, this was a team win. And, you know, who knows where all of this is going, right? I mean, we have spent 5 years on this podcast trying to figure out where the Nats are in terms of the win curve, where the rebuild is going. We still don't know. I don't think the team still knows. I don't think anyone listening quite knows. But I tell you what, a win like Friday evenings, a win like this one on Sunday afternoon, these games are the kind of games that make you believe that, you know what, this is going to work, and that we are seeing this team come together and finally emerge and, you know, rise out of the ashes. It's always after the fact that you can very easily say, oh, yeah, well, we knew then, right? It's much harder. Like, in the moment, can you identify what is happening here? And I think that is what is so interesting about this Nats team. These big wins that we're seeing are they in fact indicative of what we have wanted to happen finally happening? The Nats becoming good again. We'll see, right? Time will tell. We can't say anything with certainty right now, but you wonder if what we saw on Friday evening, what we saw on Sunday afternoon, we'll look back upon as, you know what, we should have known then that things were going to turn out all right with this team.
Well, here's why I think it's appropriate to think that it could be that in the end. And again, we don't know. We'll have to see how it plays out. But I think when you consider a few things here, who is getting the job done? As you said, there were a lot of guys contributing to this one. But you take the two games together, Friday and Sunday, and there's a lot of CJ Abrams, a lot of James Wood, a lot of Dylan Cruz in them. That's important that they're doing it. Luis Garcia, I'm going to put in there as well. That's all important that they're doing it. And then on top of that, getting contributions from role players like a Riley Adams, like an Alex Call. You know, we've talked for several years now about the lack of depth in the lineup, the lack of depth on the bench, and how they're kind of hoping that a couple of big name guys are the ones who deliver for them. To get contributions from more players, I think that's significant as well. And I think we talked about this after either the Diamondbacks or the Dodgers series, where we said, you know, you start to win these games against good teams, and it changes the feeling within a clubhouse. And when you're in that position again now, with a chance to beat a good team late, you reach back in your pocket and you remember that you've done it before. And that makes a difference. I remember this from, more than a decade ago with the previous generation as that was starting to come together. And again, we have a long way to go. We'll see if it comes true. But I feel some similarities there. And I do know for ball players, it does matter. There's nothing that can replace experience. The last few years, they've been in this position with a chance to win a game like this, and more often than not, did not do it. They are starting to do it. They're 7-4 in one-run games. I think it's 5 of their last 7 wins have been one-run wins. It takes some experience to learn how to win those kind of games. And I think that's what they're doing right now. And maybe we will look back on it and say, this is where it all started. But if nothing else, I think there is more confidence in that clubhouse than there has been in a long time. I don't think they're surprised by any of this. They believe they're good enough to beat these teams. And as I said, watching it myself, I felt like, they're going to come back and win this game. And that's not a feeling I've had a lot over the last several years.
Nats now also are 9-6 at home. So the ticket-paying Nats fan is being rewarded with what the team is doing at Nationals Park this season. If you would like for us to deliver a shout out to someone who you care about, email Tim Shovers. That email address is natschatpodcast@gmail.com. We have this shout out from Kirsten for her fiance, Stuart. Happy 33rd birthday to Stuart from Kirsten. Stuart, a big fan of the Nats Chat podcast and a big fan of the Nats. Being from Canada, he has established a blog titled Nats Up North, through which he expresses his passion for the team. Additionally, Stuart is actively engaged in community service, managing the local food bank and providing play-by-play commentary for our local sports team. He is dedicated to harmonizing his enthusiasm for sports with his commitment to community involvement. So we say thank you to Kirsten for that. Boy, that was a very well-written shout-out from Kirsten. And we say happy birthday to Stuart, and we salute Stuart for the great work that he's doing.
Happy birthday, Stuart. And I always appreciate good writing. So good on Kirsten for composing. Even as I've learned, it's a little different and harder to write for the spoken word than for the read the written word. So good on Kirsten for writing that in a way that made it very easy and powerful for Al to read it off.
And how about the fact that Stuart is from Canada? Obviously, the Nats came to D.C. from Montreal. There over the years has not been much in the way of Nats fans in Montreal, Expos fans in D.C. I don't know if Stuart was an Expos fan, but that's kind of cool that the Nats have a fan from Canada like that.
I've encountered a few over the years, including some who are still in Montreal and still follow the team, that were Expos fans and still follow them. I can understand why for a lot of them, they didn't want to continue the relationship and felt like they were being dumped. And so why am I going to, stay in love with these people that left me after all these years? But it's always appreciated when there are some who feel that way. And as we've discussed, the Nats still try to do what they can to recognize the Expos, understanding it is part of their history. And good on Stuart for sticking with them from up there up north.
You tell us what you think. Hit us up on X at Nats_chat. You can find us on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. You can email us natschatpodcast@gmail.com. And we have a website that you can check out, natschatpodcast.com. Game 4 of this series, the Nats attempting to take 3 of 4 against the Major League leading Mets. Monday afternoon at 4:05, the rare Monday afternoon game for the Nats. Trevor Williams will be the Nats starting pitcher. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat, courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. For Mark Zuckerman, I'm Al Galdi. We thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat Podcast.
Next pitch will be number 7. Here it comes. Swinging a ground ball right side. Base hit into right field. Under the glove of the diving Alonso. Young scores. The game is tied. CJ Abrams comes through on the 7th pitch of the at-bat as he takes the splitter through the right side and driving his 10th run of the year. And for the second time in 3 days, the Nationals have come back in the bottom of the 9th. Today down 7-1. They score 5 in the 7th to get to within a run and tie it here in the bottom of the 9th.
Now's the time for a great deal on a new Honda. It's time to take an adventure with rugged capability and commanding style. Check out the Honda Ridgeline, Pilot, or CR-V. For a limited time, well-qualified buyers can get a 3.99% APR on a 2025 Pilot, a 1.99% APR on a 2025 Ridgeline, or a 2.99% APR on a 2025 CR-V.
See dealer for financing details.